Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to take that color scheme that you chose in your website plan. I want to incorporate it into a couple places. I really want to see what the colors look like because this is a great time to figure out if the colors are going to work for your website now. So these are hexadecimal values that you found, and you want to use hexadecimal values. You don't want to use the word red, you don't want to use the word green, because green means there's multiple shades of green, and every browser interprets that color differently. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to get my image line to the left hand side, and we talk about this in lectures and so forth. I'm just going to simply do a float left here, and when I do that, let me open it up. The image is going to be the left of the text. Now I still have to manipulate this to move the text down some, move the text over, but at least I want to see is this image to the side of the text. Now what I want to do is I want to incorporate my color scheme, which is basically based on this logo. I'm using yellows, blues, and silvers. So I'm going to go back in, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a background color to my header. Okay, and in this case I'm just going to say background hyphen color, and I'm going to put my hashtag, and I'm going to use the blue, which is kind of like, this is going to be like a jean, looks like a color of jeans. Okay, now that also means I need to manipulate my H1 color, because the blue and my heading, if I take a look at it this time, you can see the text is too hard to read. Now I'm not worried yet about this logo not fitting in the header, because that's a simple fix and so forth. But what I want to do is I want to take a look at the colors, and I know this text here, black text on a dark color, is not going to work. So what I want to do here is I want to change this color to a yellow color based on the minion. Okay. I also want to make a change to the font size. I want to make it a little larger. I'm always a big proponent of adding a little text shadow. And you want to add some basic styling so you can see what it's going to look like, because that heading at the top is going to be the same on every page. You might change the name a little bit, but the styling is going to be the same. So I'm going to offset this by 1 pixel, 1 pixel. And since this is a yellow text, I'm going to go in and offset this with the silver color. Now let's take a look at it. Because when we look at this, you can see there's a subtle, look at the color change and say, okay, I like it. I like the color. So the color's working for me, and it matches to my logo. That's the reason why I want to add some color into this, so to see if the design works. Because typically, in most designs, if you have the same, in your header, if you have the same background color, you would actually have the same background color in your footer as well. And so, excuse me, I'm going to take this, I'm going to copy and paste this down. And so I'm going to try to keep it consistent and adding some of that extra color into that. Now, you will learn, like for example, a header, I might have to change the height here, because the height of the image is not taking consideration, it's going outside of the header section, the container. So I need to increase the height, and the height's probably around I think probably around 150 pixels. Sometimes you have to experiment, or you have to look at the height, physical height of the image, which you could do. So if I refresh here, you can see that 150 is a little bit too much, but now the minion and the text are in the same section. Okay, and again, this is where you could start applying basic styling that you learned back a couple units ago in Unit 3. You know, let's add those styles in to get it the way we want it to look. You know, so Basic information is going to be added. So let me just adjust this header. So let's just go down to 130. And again, what you do is you just kind of test it out. You just come back over and refresh. Okay. Um, so it depends on what you're trying to do with that. Now you can focus in on the other stuff. So like for example, now we'll have in our nav section, you might not set up the links yet correctly, because in another lecture we're going to show you how to create a navigation bar exactly. So, but I'm going to put in my links and to my pages. So I know I'm going to have 5 pages. And if you don't know the names of it, typically it's the name of the page goes where the href is. And here we'll just say home. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just copy and paste the first one. And then from this standpoint, then I just change the name of the page and the name of the actual physical page. Now, these links will not work until you have those pages stored in there. That's fine. That doesn't, those links don't need to work. So when you click on it, it'll say, no, it won't work. And then the 5th page here. Okay. So I'm getting that set up, and when I save this, now it's not set up correctly yet, but it's going to look something like this. Now, in my lectures, I show you how to, I will show you how to set up a navigation bar. I show you how to work with some of that. But if you want to apply formatting to it, you can, but you can wait till you get all your other pages done, especially next week when you're working with that. Now, I'm going to concentrate in the main section. Typically, in your main section, you're going to have a heading, you're going to have a paragraph of text, you're going to have a bullet list, maybe. List out information, so forth. And so the main section of your page is the most important part. That's your page, kind of like your page content. That's what you're going to go in, and it's going to give me the purpose of your website. Now, one of the things I might suggest that you do, check the spelling, grammar, and word before you bring it over into your editor. So check the spelling and grammar and word, and then bring it over, because then Microsoft Word's a lot easier to work with. But down here, I'm typically looking for a heading. I'm looking for at least a paragraph of text, maybe 2. You might add a list. Again, I'm just putting some blank elements in here so you can see what it might look like. Okay, we're not in our main content, we're looking at our paragraphs, we're looking at textual content. You're not going to physically add images to this page, but if you want to start looking at adding images, that's up to you. We do talk about in this unit about images, and I do think it's important, but I am focusing in on your content, and then I want you to apply styles to that text to make sure it stands out. If you have a paragraph of text, you got to make sure you bold, italicize certain phrases that you go in, and that when you work with it, because if you don't, people don't read the whole paragraph, they glance. So it's important to bold, it's important to add lists to your page. So again, once you have some text in here, it could be like, for example, what is a minion? And you explain what that is. And and then what I'm expecting to see is, like, if you have large amounts of paragraphs, because you're not going to have just one phrase. Okay, it should give me an idea when I read it real quickly. So here I'm going to go in and I'm going to bold minion. I want it to stand out. So I want you to use those tags that we've learned. Okay, and maybe what you'll do is, for example, like the strong tag, whenever you apply a strong tag which is bold, maybe you want that in a color. Okay, so I'm going to change this to color, and I'm going to use the blue color that we're using for the background. And so when I look at this, you'll see that this here has changed to a blue color for that purpose. Okay, so you got to apply some basic styling. You got to bring out those fonts. You got to think about the content that's on the page. And you move to next week, you're going to be working on creating the content for the other secondary pages. So get the content the way you want on the home page. If you don't want to put the images in, look for images if you need to. That's always helpful, and then put them in the images folder.